she was saying who she wanted to be prime minister. And the Russian propaganda has pushed that to say, oh, look, the United States, between the cookies and the phone call, the United States sent this woman to create Ukraine's revolution.
Before we continue, we invite you to follow our channel, the only American show reporting live from Ukraine every day.
Donald Trump said over the weekend, expect less aid to Ukraine in January. And also here in Chicago, for local Ukrainians, there's a lot of talk about Donald Trump's plans for mass deportations, bringing into question whether an estimated 30,000 Ukrainian refugees here in Chicago who are allowed to enter the country legally under an executive order issued by President Biden will be safe. Lots of questions. Let's get some answers and find out what the word is in Ukraine today from Joseph Lindsley. Joe, hi. What's going on there?
Hey, Bob. Hello from a snowy but peaceful Kyiv today. And although much of the city, of course, has intermittent power cuts, on this question of aid, I've noticed in so much of the reporting about that too that there's a key nuance that's missing. President Zelensky started making this clear several months ago. Ukraine is not asking for more aid. Ukraine is asking for the right type of aid, is what President Zelensky's been saying. And he said actually that there's enough money to support the government and everything here. I think he said for at least another year, if not longer. What is needed is permission to win, permission to strike back. To use the best weapons from the U.S. and the U.K., for example, to hit the Russian bases that target Ukraine all the time. What is needed is also to put a tighter grip upon Russia. And, the U.S. Treasury Department still offers sanctions waivers to Russian banks that work in the oil business. About a month and a half ago, the Biden administration recently started to tighten those. But for the past 3 years, the most powerful Russian banks have been able to operate. A lot of the sanctions have been more cosmetic in many ways, even though some of them have really worked well. But the Russia is still able to do quite well when it comes to the oil and the gas sector. And so Zelensky's made the case that these are things that can actually help Ukraine win, that don't cost the U.S. More money. In fact, it'll make it more efficient to get the job done more quickly. And so we have to make it clear that Zelensky is not asking for more money or more aid. He's asking for the right type of support, for the right type of weapons. And we see that in the past few days, the tiny European nation, the Kingdom of Denmark, has sent yet more F-16s to Ukraine. Denmark was one of the first to say that they wanted to send F-16s. They had to wait until Washington gave permission because those are, of course, American fighter jets, and you need American permission for that. So Denmark sent the first batch in the summer, not a lot, but a few, and it seems that they've been effective in battle. A few have been lost, but now more have arrived from Denmark. And so again, it's a question of what is the type of aid that's coming to Ukraine, not the amount of money. And I think as we've seen so much of in the Ukraine spending packages, a lot of that is for American defense companies to buy new weapons to the Pentagon. And a lot of it is for sort of social programs that don't do anything to help for victory. And so I think that this Zelensky's been pretty clear that he's just not asking for more money. We have another moment that I happened over the weekend in Rome. The Pope Francis named new cardinals, and one of them was born in Western Ukraine. He's now the Archbishop, the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Archbishop of Melbourne in Australia. And he's the youngest cardinal in the College of Cardinals, 44 years old, Mykola Bichuk. And this is remarkable in two ways. One, positive for Ukraine, that Ukraine, the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, which is part of the Roman Catholic Church, but very unique, that they are being sort of recognized as something that exists, even though Russia tries to deny it. And to give a young, clear Ukrainian who speaks English perfectly such a powerful voice, it makes a big difference. And among all the cardinals in their red hats, the Ukrainian cardinal was the only. He dresses differently. It's a black medieval headgear that looks like something from out of the medieval England. But that was a great moment of recognition for the Ukrainians. But then the one sort of strange thing is that usually in the past 400 years, the Archbishop of Kyiv, the Catholic Archbishop of Kyiv, is made a cardinal, and the Pope did not do that. He picked an archbishop in Melbourne, And so that is a bit concerning for Ukrainians because they're trying to say, hey, we are legitimate. We've been legitimate for ages. So there's a bit of intrigue and concern there. And then, Bob, we had recently a group of Republicans came here to Ukraine. Some of them I'd met before back, in my time in Washington, and they were able to see, very bravely and courageously came here, and they were able to see the reality. And it was good for me to hear what their objections are to Ukraine. And there still are these sort of very simple and common beliefs that people have that are not accurate, which I saw reflected in a recent Joe Rogan podcast. He had a guest named Mike Benz, who might be someone who would work in the new Trump administration. And this guest on Joe Rogan was saying that Ukraine's revolution was created by one woman in the U.S. State Department in 2014, Victoria Nuland, and his evidence was that there were pictures of her giving cookies to the protesters in the main square of Kyiv, and that means that she orchestrated the revolution of dignity, where you had millions of Ukrainians in the streets protesting. And it's
unbelievable.
I think sometimes you have to laugh at it, and I mean the only meat of it was there was a leaked phone call in 2014 between Nuland and the then U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, and she was saying who she wanted to be prime minister. And the Russian propaganda has pushed that to say, oh, look, the United States, between the cookies and the phone call, the United States sent this woman to create Ukraine's revolution. But if you look closely, and at the timing of that call, that was before the pro-Putin regime fell. And the pro-Putin regime was actually, they were willing to make a deal. They were saying, okay, we'll take a prime minister from the opposition into our government. And so Nuland was trying to prevent the revolution, trying to prevent a regime change, actually, quite the opposite of starting it. She was trying to calm it down. But when the EU officials and the US officials went with the cookies to the protesters and said, hey, we have a proposal, a negotiation with the pro-Putin regime, the people in the streets said no. They said, we're sick of Moscow. And they actually refused to accept that deal. And a few weeks later, the regime fled. And so between the cookies and all these optics, the reality gets missed.
Yeah, so much for Cookiegate, all that misinformation going around. We're grateful to you to straighten everything out. Well, we're still getting texts about the musicians that you've talked about, and we've played a little of their music here from time to time. Here's another one. Hi, Bob. Please ask Joseph if the Ukraine band has a CD we can buy. Thanks very much. Do they? Do you know?
No, they don't, but I will suggest that to them. They should, and maybe put together an album of their what they learned from their American tour. And I do know that they went down. They were in Nashville. They were in the Louisiana Delta, and so I think that they also got a lot more inspiration to create some songs. So I'll suggest that to them, and it'll take some time. But I think although they're soldiers now, they're real musicians, and for so many of them, it had been a lifelong dream to play with musicians in Nashville, in New Orleans, and that's what they did during their 2-month tour this past fall.
Yeah, a CD could be a great fundraiser. All right, mark your calendar, Joseph. Indiana at your alma mater, Notre Dame, on the 20th. That's a week from Friday. We'll keep you posted on that.
It's a bowl game, or I'm so out of touch.
Yeah, isn't it, Dave?
No, it's a playoff game. It's a first-round playoff game.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Maybe I'll tune in.
All right. We'll see if we can hook you up here. Maybe the WGN engineers can do something for you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?